Hello and welcome to the Path to Freedom podcast, a weekly podcast with the intention to inspire, empower, and uplift us all to develop a healing consciousness that we, that is you and me, may forever allow for greater and grander versions and expressions of who and what we are to emerge with ease, grace, and spiritual dignity. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and I am your host. Blessings, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Path to Freedom podcast. This podcast about developing a healing consciousness, about freedom, about releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves us, about allowing for the freedom and the peace and the joy and the harmony that is inherent within us to flow in through and as us with ease and grace. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and I'm the host of this podcast. If this is the first time you tune in, I welcome you, and I'm very happy to see you here. If this is not the first time, but if you're a returning listener or watcher, I welcome you just as much. I'm very happy to see you here. Today's topic is let's go deeper, wider, and higher. Let's go deeper, wider, and higher. And this topic, I remember last week when I said that before I start recording a podcast or before I start recording an episode, I'm always to not set a topic for that episode, but to tune in before I always go into meditation before I record. So I said last week that I was not to predetermine any topics, but to catch it while in meditation. But this topic has actually been with me for a number of weeks now. It came to me a number of weeks ago, but it's been bumped down because new topics have arisen and come into my consciousness. But we're finally here. I've been waiting for this day. I've been waiting for this topic because this is such an exciting topic to go deeper and wider and higher. And what this means to me is that we're always in a state of expansion, that there's always room and there's always a space for us to stretch, to allow for greater and grander expressions of who we are to emerge. There's that little corner of our being that we can expand, where we can turn our attention, where we can turn our focus and stretch, allow it to stretch out into becoming even more. So this is something that this is my life. My life is about stretching. My life is about expanding. My life is about becoming and allowing greater and grander expressions of who and what I am to emerge. My life is about going even deeper and wider and higher, always in each and every single moment. So I'm very happy that we get to explore this today. And I'm trusting that you'll be just as pleased with this episode as I am already. But as always, before we get into all the talking and all the exploring, let's have a moment of coming back to this moment of becoming still, a moment of turning our attention within, a moment of meditation and a moment of prayer. So I invite us all to make ourselves comfortable, however we have positioned ourselves in this moment, whether we are sitting or lying down or standing up. I invite us to make ourselves as comfortable as possible. And I invite us to place our hands in our lap, palms facing upward, perhaps allowing our thumb and middle finger to touch. I invite us to close our eyes and gently tap between our eyebrows. Tap that first eye, that pineal gland, activating that seeing that goes beyond our eyes, that hearing that goes beyond our ears, activating the catching on that which cannot be seen, that which cannot be heard. And I also invite us to smile. And while we're smiling, and even if you don't feel like smiling, smile anyway. Smiling informs our bodies that all is well. It informs them that they can release tonic chemicals, the oxytocin and serotonin and all these other chemicals and such that works for the body, that increases the immune system, that slows down the aging process. And the body doesn't know whether the smile is real or fake. So just smile. Put a smile on our faces. And let's remind ourselves that this is the first time that we're sitting, regardless of how many hours we have been meditating before this moment. As each moment is a new beginning, the me and the you that is here in this moment has never existed before. And so this is the first time for this expression, for this version of who and what we are, to meditate. And also we want to set a high intention for meditating. My intention is always to wake up to who and what God is and my absolute oneness with it. That's why I'm sitting to meditate, to expand my consciousness, to make myself open and available, receptive, to catch insights, revelations, realizations, to clear the clutter from my mind. You obviously are free to iterate it and phrase it in any which way you feel inspired and empowered by. But we want to have an intention for sitting to meditate. And as we have our intention, I invite us all to turn our attention toward our breath. Let's just be with our breath. Let's be with our bodies breathing. We don't need to breathe. We don't need to make the breathing happen, but the bodies breathe. They are highly intelligent, divinely intelligent, and so the body knows when to breathe and how to breathe. So we can simply surrender to it, allow it to be, and observe it. So having our attention on our breath, we allow each breath to move us deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the stillness. Knowing and feeling that all is well. So peace, be still. if our attention drifts away from our breath, we gently and lovingly turn it back, and we begin again. Come back to the breath and begin again. Come back to the breath and begin again. And as I, in a brief moment, move us into prayer, I invite you to remain still, open, available, receptive just as you are, with your eyes closed, that you may catch the vibration and the energy of the prayer. And so in this moment, I give thanks and I give thanks and I give thanks. I'm so grateful for this moment. I'm so grateful for the peace that is in this moment, the peace that is here that we are. I'm so grateful for the love that is here that we are in this moment, in this very moment, in the nowness of this moment. For the joy that is here that we are. For the wholeness that is here that we are. For the love that is here that we are. The abundance that is here that we are. How grateful am I for this moment, for the opportunities that are here, the possibilities for us to go even deeper and wider and higher. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for your participation, for your joining me in this episode, for your following this podcast, for your contributing to this podcast, for your co-creation of this podcast, of this field that this podcast is generating. It would not be what it is without you. So I'm so grateful that you are here. I'm so grateful that somewhere along the line you said yes. Not only to join this podcast or participate in this podcast, but you said yes to forever allow for greater and grander expressions of who and what you are to emerge. You said yes to growth and unfolding. You said yes to going deeper and wider and higher, even though you perhaps had no idea what that meant or how to go about it. But still you said yes. And I'm grateful for that initial yes. And I'm grateful for every yes that you have said since then. There's been a long line of yeses since that first initial yes. I'm grateful for your willingness to continue to say yes. I'm so grateful to know and feel that right here where we are, something wonderful is happening. That everything is working for our good, individually and collectively. I'm so grateful for it. And from this space of gratitude, I know and feel the allness. I know and feel the goodness. I know and feel the eternality of spirit. I know and feel that God is everywhere. In every space and place. Everywhere we look, their spirit is. Every single being. In every single object. Every single space in between beings and objects, their spirit is in its full. Because God cannot ever diminish itself. Spirit cannot ever contradict itself or divide itself into parts. But the infinite love and infinite peace and infinite joy and infinite harmony, infinite abundance, infinite wholeness, infinite intelligence, creativity, and beauty that God is fully expressed in every space and place. Which means that right where we are, right where you are, right where I am, the fullness of spirit is expressing itself. We and spirit are one. We're one with the one, we're one with the whole. We are spirit expressing itself in us and through us. Wholeness expressing itself in us and through us. Abundance expressing itself in us and through us. Peace expressing itself in us and through us. Love expressing itself in us and through us. Intelligence, creativity expressing itself in us and through us. And in this moment, as we continue to say yes, all of that which no longer serves this new great and grand expression of who and what we are is dissolved and disintegrated and transmuted into the nothingness from which it came. We are eternally sourced, fueled, and funded, eternally sustained and maintained, forever guided, moved, and led. Because God is, not only God is, but God is fundamentally good. Forever for each of us, forever seeking to come into greater and greater expression in, as, and through each of us. So God is forever supporting us. Forever does God have our back. Something wonderful is happening. Something wonderful is happening. It's always happening, as God, as Spirit, is the same yesterday, today, and forever, eternally the same. Something wonderful is always happening. Spirit is always seeking to come into greater and greater expression in and of itself, in and of all of creation, in us and through all of creation, in us and through each single being and object. That's the essence of Spirit. That's the life of God as us. So I bless all of us, knowing that all is well. Whatever seems to be going on the surface, whatever appearances, whatever conditions, circumstances we find ourselves in, all is well. Because God is well. I know it and I feel it. I give thanks for it. I allow it to be. So it is, and so be it. Amen. Amen. Welcome back. Welcome back. A few days ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about this spiritual path, and we were talking about how it can be quite exhausting and tiresome to continuously be on the edge and the verge of expansion, to continuously stretch into greater and greater expressions of who and what we are. And I remember saying to her, or actually I heard myself say to her, that I wish that I could have or take a vacation from this inner processing, from this inner work. And as soon as I heard myself say that, I burst into laughter, because I realized that that was not true. I do not wish to take a vacation from this work, from this inner work that is continuous, that is always going on. Sometimes there are challenges that I need to face, but even in times when there are no challenges, I'm still stretching, I'm still expanding. And I do it consciously and I do it willingly. And I burst into laughter because I realized that I'm sort of a workaholic when it comes to this spiritual work. I love being who I am. I love doing this work. I love that I get to observe who I am becoming. I remember a time in my life where there was not much growth, where there was not much expansion, where my life was about chilling, relaxing, kicking back, And having lived that life, I would not trade this life, my current life, for that life, for anything in the universe. I would not. I would not go back 1 second in time to make another choice. But I want to keep moving forward. I want to keep stretching. I want to keep expanding. I want to keep going deeper and wider and higher in every direction, in every single moment. There is, once again, remembering how my life used to be, how I sought gratification and how I sought satisfaction. I don't even know if that's a word. I sought to be satisfied by external things, by praise, by accomplishments, by deeds, by what others thought of me, and all these things, by how much stuff I had. I lived my life for all of that. And at one point, my life began to turn from living for the world and being of the world to more and more being in the world, not at all of the world and not at all for the world. And the level of my life is such an adventure. It is such an adventure. It is such a magical journey. I never, ever know what's going to come to the surface, what's going to arise from within me. I never, ever know what I get to release and let go of. I never, ever know how I get to stretch, how I get to expand, how I get to go wider and deeper and higher. And my God, the level of satisfaction that I'm experiencing now. That is not at all about how much stuff I have. That is not at all about what anyone else thinks of me or what I achieve or what I accomplish. But it's all about who I am and who I'm becoming. And this has totally flipped my life. Totally flipped my life over. I cannot imagine another life than this. And having said that, I know that this is only the beginning. For all the stuff that I've done and for all the work that I've done on and within myself, this is just the beginning, and I love it. And I want to seek to convey, if you are on the verge of making this choice, if you are on the verge of really saying yes to go full tilt on this spiritual life, obviously it's not mine to tell you what to do, because you have your path that I have nothing, that I know nothing about, and that I have no idea how that path is gonna go and where it's gonna take you. But I do know this: it is so well worth it. For all the challenges that will come to the surface, and I want to be absolutely clear and honest about this, there will be challenges. like never before, perhaps. Because all of this work that we're doing, this journey, this spiritual journey, it is all about releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves us, which means that we need to bring to the surface every single one of our small and limited belief, perception, opinion, judgment, point of view. We need to bring it, or it is not us bringing it, but it needs to come to the surface. And so structures will crumble. Our previous beliefs and perceptions and perspectives, they will be challenged and they will fall. They will dissolve. Because that's how growth happens. This spiritual path is not ever about adding anything. Anything. It's not about adding anything onto ourselves. But it's all about releasing that which has been added that no longer serves us. Kind of like peeling an onion. We peel off layer by layer by layer by layer of stuff, of stories that we've been told, of habits that we have acquired, of beliefs that we've been taught to hold on to. All of this needs to go. And as we say yes to this path, all of these will come into our awareness where we may embrace and allow them, not resist them, not deny them, not fight them, but embrace and allow them that we may release and let it go. And so there will be challenges. And obviously, as everything, as form always follows consciousness, as our vibration sort of gives rise to the surface appearances, as we begin to shift on the inside, as we begin to release and let go of that which no longer serves us on the inside, that which has corresponded to our previous vibration, that which has corresponded to our previous beliefs, as we no longer hold these beliefs, that which used to be stabilized and that which used to be a structure on the outside, it no longer has anything to withhold it. It no longer has anything to support it. And so it will fall, it will crumble. So there will be challenges on the inside. There will be moments where we are not feeling good at all. There will be moments, dark moments, when we move through sheer darkness, not knowing anything, not trusting anything, not seeing anything. But these moments, they're blessings. Everything is a blessing. Every challenge is a blessing, a gift and a blessing in disguise, a gift and a blessing of transformation. So there will be inner challenges and there will be external challenges. As that which may have been stabilized structures will begin to crumble, will begin to dissolve. But, and here's the thing, here's the kicker, it is so worth it. It is so worth it. Remember, we're all unique and perfect emanations of spirit. We are spirit expressing itself in, as, and through us. And the will of God, the will of spirit, is for all, not for some, but for all of creation to forever move into greater and grander expression of itself. Because that is how spirit gets to come into greater and grander expression of itself. If it wasn't for creation, spirit would not be expressed. Spirit would still be, but it would not be expressed. And spirit is forever seeking to come into greater expression in us and through all of life, in us and through all of creation. So as we say yes to this path, as we say yes to expanding our consciousness, as we say yes to releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves us, as we say yes to going deeper and wider and higher in every direction, in every aspect of who and what we are, spirit is eternally sourcing and fueling and funding us, eternally sustaining and maintaining us, eternally guiding and leading and moving us. All our needs are met, always, always, always. All of our needs are met always. And so even though it may look at the surface as though we're moving through lack and scarcity, as we keep leaning into spirit, as we keep coming back to whatever principle we feel inspired and empowered by, like I've got mine, my go-to principle, all is well, so peace be still. That's my go-to principle. I can always come back to that, and I do always come back to that. Whenever I seem to have lost my footing, whenever I seem to not know, or whenever I catch myself being caught up by fear, worry, and doubt. Nah, it's been a long time since I experienced those. But whenever I seem, as I've been, a lot of the work that I've been doing lately has been about releasing and letting go of my tendency, or my mind's tendency to stretch into the future and try to figure out how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to move toward where I'm heading. And so whenever I catch myself, whenever I have caught myself, I take a breath. I come back to my go-to principle, all is well, so peace be still. Or one of the others. Like one of my favorite tools is to breathe and celebrate. Like we talked about last week, come back to the breath and begin again. So Spirit will give us all these tools, all these techniques that we can use to stay and sustain our high vibration, even when we're moving through challenges, even when we're growing through challenges, even when we're moving through darkness, even when we're moving through fear or doubt or worry. We still have these tools that we can use. Hanging out in high fellowship, using our moments in between to go even deeper and higher and wider. Not contract, but seek ways to expand. We want to grow through our challenges. Not merely wish for them to dissipate and dissolve and go away, but we want to grow through them. If we move through our challenges like an ostrich who perennially sticks their hand in the sand, or their head in the sand, apparently believing that if they can't see the danger is not there. But on this path, whatever we suppress or deny within ourselves, whatever we resist within ourselves, it will come back until we may embrace and allow it and then let it go. So we can use these tools, we can use these techniques to grow through by embracing and allowing whatever comes up, whatever emotions, whatever thought forms, whatever conditions. We embrace and allow it, which simply means that we release and let go of our resistance. We release and let go of our thoughts as to what should and should not be. We release and let go of trying to figure out anything. We release and let go all of that which keeps us from surrendering. And as we do that, much of the work has been done. Because from this space of embracing and allowing, whatever the small and limited thought pattern or or perception, it has nothing to ground it anymore. It has nothing to root it down. And so it will dissolve, disintegrate, transmute itself into the nothingness from which it came. So let's have a little experiential. I don't know why that word came. I've called it practice or exercise before, but the word experiential came, so let's have a little moment of experiential. So I invite us to close our eyes. Take a deep and conscious breath. And let's ask, in this moment, how can I go deeper, wider, and higher? Or another way of asking this question is, in this moment, what is mine to do? Yet another way to ask the question is, in this moment, how can I grow? How can I expand? So let's ask these questions and let's just sit in silence, in stillness, attentive, open, available, receptive to catch the answer, which sooner or later will be revealed to us in language and in a way that we can understand. So let's be still. I mean, welcome back. Don't you just love it that we get to do, we don't have to do this. There's no one forcing us to do it, but we get to do it. We get to consciously participate in the growth and the unfolding of our souls, of who and what we are. It's a privilege. I mean, my God, there are countless of individuals that would love to get to do what we get to do, but they can't. Perhaps they're living in war zones. Perhaps they're living only to survive. Perhaps they don't even know how to make it through this day. Perhaps they have kids that they don't know how to feed, or something else. They're in deep, deep suffering. And they would absolutely love to get to do what we get to do. So let's acknowledge that. that this is a privilege. We are blessed. This is something to celebrate. We are truly blessed, and I love it. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this life. I'm so grateful for whenever, I don't remember when I said yes to this, but I'm so grateful that I did. And I'm so grateful that I keep saying yes. I'm so grateful for my willingness to surrender. I'm so grateful for my willingness to do this inner work. I'm so grateful for my willingness to go deeper and wider and higher. I'm so grateful for who I am. I'm so grateful for who I'm becoming. I'm so grateful for all the teachers and masters and avatars and wise ones and sages that have gone before all of us, who are showing the way, who are leading the way, who are so lovingly and generously sharing and giving what they have learned, their insights, their revelations, their realizations. I am so grateful for it all. And as I said before, as I shared before, I would not trade this life for anything. Not for anything. Because this is living. This is life. This is participating fully in life. When we're not being distracted by the world, when we're not being pulled and run by excuses. And I have no judgments about that. There are many people that are pulled by the world, that are living their lives full of excuses. No judgment. But I'm very, very grateful that that part of my life is over. That this is now my life. Thank you, Spirit. I mean, we're not done yet. But I'm in such a high state of gratitude. I want to express it. So thank you, Spirit. Thank you. And I invite us all to keep going deeper and wider and higher. To keep not shying away from doing the inner work. To keep expanding, to keep moving forward and upward. To keep allowing for greater and grander expressions of who and what we are to emerge. To keep embracing and allowing all that which is, whatever it is. To keep leaning into Spirit, knowing and feeling that all is well, knowing and feeling that we're all always eternally sourced, fueled, and funded, and sustained and maintained. Knowing and feeling that right where we are is exactly where we're supposed to be. The timing is always divine. We may have thoughts and opinions about it, but the timing is always divine. So we are right where we're supposed to be. All right, so I'm going to move us into prayer. I invite us all to close our eyes turn our attention back to our breath. Making ourselves open and available. Oh, but before that, let's talk a little bit about insights. We've talked about them before, but it is well worth repeating that perhaps during this episode, you've caught an insight or a revelation or a realization. And my invitation to us all is to give these insights and realizations and revelations, to give them permission to move us into some kind of action or some kind of expanded practice. That we're continuously propelled forward and upward. That we're continuously moved into expansion and moved into stretching ourselves. Because this is how the growth happens. So if you had an insight, I invite you to, once we've prayed out and once the episode is over, I invite you to capture that insight, to write it down, that you don't forget it. Write it down and post it somewhere, keep it somewhere where you look at it, that it may inspire and empower you into expansion. All right, so that was all about insights. So now, let's take that breath. Let's close our eyes. And oh my God. Oh my God, how grateful I am for this life, for this moment, for this podcast, for this episode, for this field. How grateful I am for the way that Spirit moves through me, speaks through me, acts through me. How grateful I am for all that flows through me. For my ability and willingness to be open and available. For my ability and willingness to get out of the way. And let Spirit have its way with me. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the infinite possibilities that is forever present in all of our lives. Infinite possibilities for us to grow, to expand, to go deeper, wider, and higher, to allow for something new, something expanded to emerge. And once again, I'm grateful for our willingness and for our saying yes to this growth, to this expansion, for the courage and the strength that we have said yes to receive, that we have been willing to cultivate. And I'm grateful to Spirit for guiding and leading and moving each of us, knowing that Spirit and we are one, that the Spirit is the source of all, the source from which we are emanating. So I'm grateful for that still small voice, that inner guidance, guides and leads and moves us into forever and ever expanded expressions. I'm grateful for our willingness to release and let go of that which no longer serves us. And I know and feel that during this episode, there has been some serious shedding. We have released and let go of some serious limitations. We are much, much, much more expanded now than before this episode. There's a new me and a new you that has emerged. And the trajectory of our lives has forever shifted. During this episode, we've gone even deeper, we've gone even wider, we've gone even higher. For this I give thanks. Something wonderful is, because Spirit is forever for all of creation, and thus for you and me. So I know this, I feel this, I accept this, I give thanks for it. And I release the word, I surrender to the word, knowing and feeling that the word is done. In the mind of God, it's already done. And through our surrender, through our gratitude, we are now allowing the doneness of this word to move from the invisible into the visible with such ease and grace. I know this to be so, and let it be so. So shall it be. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Until the next time, I bless your way, and I bless your day. Beautiful being. Namaste.
You have been listening to an episode of the Path to Freedom podcast with me, Daniel Roqueo. I invite you to stay tuned for more episodes. If you have any questions or comments or just want to get more inspiration and empowerment, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I also invite you to visit my website, danielroqueo.com. I bless your day and I bless your way, you beautiful, wonderful being.